All right. Good evening and welcome to our almost 10th of the DevOps Talk. So this is going to be the next time. We started this something like, well, last summer. I don't remember which months exactly. Someone called me, I called someone called someone else, and we'll share a bit more about who we are in a second. But more importantly, what we created is the DevOps Talk as event, as community. And then we all kind of like to socialize. That's why we started the whole thing. We were more like, hey, there's COVID, people sitting at home, not talking with each other. So we started discussing between ourselves, who are people from different companies, but we know each other because back in the day we were working together and we were like, yeah, can we do something more about this? So we came up with this idea that we should make some kind of event where people can come up with their ideas, exchange them, share them, discuss them. We need to make an event like that, something like that. And then it would be a place where to learn. Hopefully that we would learn from others. Others would learn from us, maybe not, doesn't really matter. And we see how things are getting bigger with every event. And that's what the rocket is for. We feel like on a rocket. The community is growing. The people in these events is growing. It's great. And well, at the end of the day, it's all about love. And the DevOps community as such, it is a part of Techies of Baltics communities, one of them. I will not tell you much about Techies of Baltics because somewhere in a LinkedIn or in the chat, you can find more information about the opening of Techies of Baltics as officially a community. But today is about DevOps, it's not about Techies of Baltics. So who are those people I told you about? So meet Arturs, who is not with us today, handling some family business, but some of you have seen him leading previous events. And then we have Marcis somewhere at the back making notes. Well, Marcis, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Finally fixed my audio, so yeah.
Yeah, Mart's very busy. He's trying to write down every word. That's what we started to do as a new way of registering what's going on in these events. But there's also a recording. Then we have Leona. Leona, once again, hello.
Hi.
Leona will be our facilitator for the second part later on. So if you see someone coming up with a picture like this, then you know that you need to listen to that person. Then we have Yelena, who I think couldn't make it today. She is very busy at some company event, as we heard. Then Jhonnatan, I see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. I'm doing good. I hope you're also doing good. I know it will be a fun event.
Okay, great. And the last one who joined this beautiful team is Edgar's, but I think he also couldn't make it today and I don't see him. Am I right? Seems that I'm right. Okay, moving on. Finally. Today's talk about the infrastructure. And then without further ado, I'm giving you sharing permissions, Johnny or Jhonnatan, and make host, make co-host. Let's risk with the co-host. Let's see what happens. You should be able to take over the screen, tell a bit about yourself, put it in a sharing mode, and teach us something. Is it working? We don't hear you for some reason. Still silence. Still nothing. The demo gods are not with you today. Or the opposite, depends which ones you got. Still don't hear you, no, nothing. Well, maybe it's issue on my side. Say someone something, please. Yeah, there's Giannis breathing very loudly, so we heard Giannis. Jhonnatan, still nothing. Okay, well, Jhonnatan is trying to set up. I'll quickly share something in between. Jhonnatan, anytime, try to speak up and then I'll hear it. But then, okay, so quickly, very quickly, kind of changing the topic. I said that I will tell you about that a bit later. So one thing, what every DevOps must do is join it's actually Baltic's DevOps community, if I think about it now, what we're trying to do. And where to go, what to do. So where's the chat? Where's the chat? Where's the chat? Here's the chat. Here's the chat. Someone said something. Johnny, is that you?
Yeah, that's
no,
me.
No, it's not. No, we hear someone else.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
So we'll get to you back in a second. So you see the link in the chat. That's a place where you can find the DevOps LV website, and from there you can get to the magical Slack workspace where we are building not just the DevOps community, but we are trying to look at all communities in a Baltics with a fresh view. And there's a lot of stuff happening, and you can find other communities there. It's just in its baby diapers, kind of, but it's going to grow. It's going to be amazing if everyone will join that. So feel free to register, find the DevOps channel there, and tell everyone how much you hated the today's event, if that's what you want to do. Okay, Jhonnatan, can you take over the screen sharing?
Yeah.
Or maybe you did and I didn't notice.
Yeah, I have the permission for share screen.
Yep, try it.
Yep, this will soon open screen. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay, desktop one. And that's it. I think you share my whole desktop, but that is cool because it's one desktop for I can share for you. And okay, thank you for receiving me in this meetup. I'm very appreciated. I'm very happy because I love to share the knowledge like your community. Sounds pretty good because I think everything of us, we have one responsibility when learn about something new and retrieve this for the community or for the people that it's out of there. Works pretty well when you returns your knowledge for the other people. Could be the other people know how to you can learn something new and how to you can explain that. I love that. I have a YouTube channel in Spanish, and I try to involve the community in Spanish for the technology because it's not easy for a lot of people inside of in Spanish because a lot of documentation is in English or other languages and not easy, especially for IAC concepts of DevOps or Kubernetes or a lot of stuff that you can try to learn, a lot of IT roles. That's very hard, and I love that you work and your community. I appreciate a lot. That's it for the start. That's me. That's Jhonnatan Gil, like sounds in Spanish, Jonathan. Who is Jhonnatan or Johnny Punk? Just a simple human who loves Linux. I love Linux a lot. I love shared knowledge because I think we have a great responsibility, like Uncle Ben says to Spider-Man. Could be know this reference. I love tech, especially with my more easy every life and every moment that you have in your area. In IT, you have tried to doing a lot of stuff. Could be more easy for you and your teammates. And worse, if you try to develop something new for generate these automatically way scripts or something like that. And with that, I love I love share this phrase that from Confucius: life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. That's very true, because some little task deliver a lot of time from you, because you need a lot of time could be to solve a little task that could be some minutes. But if you generate your hours from this task, your team moves more easy. Yeah, especially from DevOps and SRE cultures or definitions. You try to define how to do automatically a lot of stuff inside of your teammates, and how to you can move more fast around that. And that's it. Let's start with this agenda. We talk about the Conway's law, what is a little concept about DevOps, what is CDLC, wall of confusion, what is IIC, why is so important IIC in this moment, like DevOps and SRE have a huge importance, like a little demo with one cloud provider, time for questions, and thanks. And here we go. What is Conway's law? Conway's law is how do the organizations move around the current structure and the current definition, the how to operate inside of the organization, and how to these operations is the same way translate for your application. It's very commonly found application that it's very hard try to use, because especially from bank, because a lot of bank structure have a lot of permission, a lot of applies from other structure, and you need to define how to you can put this same structure for your application. And the high level person try to takes the control for that, and not easy when you need to move from the older culture for the DevOps or for the Agile. It's very hard try to move this new concept for this person. That's very hard. But normally you found a lot of this in a lot of application, and you need to move fast for something from, especially from IT guys or development team or QA team, or a lot of teams that is around of IT concepts, and how do you can deliver new feature for your application. That's very hard if you had a hard organization laws that try to generate something different in our era, because in this era we have a lot of agile methodologies in a lot of areas, not just for IT or development or QA. You can put agile in a lot of areas, and you can move more fast your teams so far for the how to knowledge and how to you can deliver more fast the current feature for your application or for your customers. What is DevOps? For other hand, we have a DevOps that is particularly works especially from IT and how to with develop team works, that it's especially how to you can communicate and generate more efficiently communication for a development team, an IT team, and how do you can operate the a developed team try to do. Yeah, a lot of cloud providers try to move the companies for DevOps. What is that is for especially from Google, from AWS, from Azure. But the definition for DevOps is how do you can move your culture from the current culture for the agile culture, and how do you can move the more fast your process, and how do you move more easily your company, and how do you deliver more fast for your customers. But it's not an easy way. It's very hard because you need to move a lot of people that could be have a big concepts and misconcept about the DevOps, about the how to the agile could be help the people, but it's very hard. But you need a huge team that generate this culture and how to move this person for this culture, and how to you can put the 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 team for this culture, because you don't need just the technology, the IT teams and the development team works, because you need the process teams too, you need the QI teams too, you need your managers works in agile methodologies, because you DevOps applications, you define how to you can move fast for DevOps, and how to you can help the lead time, that is the time when you put new requirements for the customers. What is the time that you can put these new requirements in production? This lead time is very huge in a lot of companies actually. But if you implement DevOps, just the culture, you move from one step. The other step that is for DevOps is the tools. You have a lot of tools inside of DevOps that you can use for generate more fast for your teams, but no is the one focus. The first focus is more for culture. Now, DevOps and SDLC, software development life cycle. We have this part of the life cycle. We have one definition about the how to you can put the current definition about your process. Could be you have more or could be have less. But you plan, you have a requirements gathering and obtain what is the new requirements for the customer, and what is the focus for this customer, and what is the new feature that you can be try to generate for this customer, and what these requirements solve, right? And then you have a plan, you have a team that coding that, you have the same team, could be development team, that build and test with, could be some other person that test these requirements. You release these new features and deploy these features in current environment, could be development or QA team or production environment. But what happened with monitoring, what happened with this feedback, it's very confusing, especially when you try to start with that, because it's not easy to find. You have in this part a lot of concept about the observability and instrumentation, and how to your application works, and how do you have define your observability infrastructure and structure, because you have a huge logs about your infrastructure, about your application, and how do you correlate these logs, and how do you could be generate some alerts about that. It's a very huge path, but not it's impossible. It's a little steps in the same at the time, and you can solve a little more from DevOps, right? When you try to move for DevOps, you have a plan, you code, but not code just in development mode for developer teams, sorry. You have to, in this moment, you need to move more fast, and then you generate codification for your environments. That's it. Very important part that what is the IAC could be is a more the other part of the talk, but it is the part most important because you need to generate this codification about the how to you can put your current role for the IT guy, how to you can move for the, hey man, I need to move fast because I need that you will be codification sometimes, just not use the cloud, just not use the clicks, use, I need to use some framework that could be helps to others to generate and regenerate your implementation in other environments. In this case, could be you can put a code for development environment, but what happened with QA team, QA environment? Normally, in the companies have the same environment and put in their QA, and it's very hard because you don't have what is the main responsibilities for this part. But what happened with this when you try to do and develop this new feature for production? That's very hard because you need to, how do you can move your environment, your development or QA for production? Normally in one other company that I work at, have taken the development environment and put for production. And this, whoa, man, how to you can do that? It's very hard because how do you can solve and how do you can know what happened in this process? How do you communicate from some part that you need to communicate? That it's very hard and it's very difficult. Try to identify what is the main problems when you try to connect with others networks or connect with others responsibilities inside of community, inside of organization, sorry. In other hand, we have a wall of confusion, how to the business define something like that, the user interface define that, how to the QA, the development team, and define and structure the code, what happened with QA team, and when you put this code for delivery for the new feature for your customer, oh man, how to manage this new code, how to deploy this application in our servers. We don't have this infrastructure, we don't have Kubernetes, we don't have support of Java, we don't have IIA service. It's a lot of technologies, and it's a very huge discussion about the development team and operation team, because normally we don't know what try to do the development team and the IT team. I come from the development team, and actually I worked with IT team, and it's very awesome because you have solved a lot of problems from the development, especially when you have the requirements gathering and you put more easy your production, your code in production. But what is IAC? Infrastructure as code. That is no more. But what I can do with infrastructure as code? What is the most important thing that in there? That is how you can manage your infrastructure, not just for clicks, not just for bash, while you can use a lot of tools that define on support by community. In this case, for the CNCF, could be zones from CNCF, that it's a very huge community around the world, and how you can use the lot of definition, a lot of works, a lot of community solutions for a lot of problems inside of around the IT. But in the first case, we have in this, we have a Puppet, we have Pulumi, we have Ansible, we have HashiCorp, Terraform. We have a lot of tools that you can use in this mode, and you can put it all together, but depends about your IT team, because it's not easy for the all guys try to structure a code, learn Python or learn Node.js or learn Go and put it all together for deploy infrastructure inside, or I don't know, could be AWS or Azure or GCP. It's very hard when you try to learn one code and languages, or how you can manage. In this part, you can learn, I think, the principles move in there. If you have the opportunity with AWS, you try to do a lot of your tasks with CloudFormation. It's very easy. But if you can generate more more high level for your infrastructure, you could be moved from Terraform or Pulumi or Crossplane, depends of your needed, and depends a lot of your team, because your team, it's the part more important, that they learn about the how to the code works, and how to they will be take this code and how to move around this, because uh, uh, for other part, the IAC, you have a lot of definition. In this case, you can define how to your GitOps moves, how to with GitOps you can move most easy for the current Git flow, because you need to codification a lot of your infrastructure, but not just codification. You need to put some branches, some rules about the how to the code deploy inside the EC automatically in what cloud, and how to the cloud connect with my code, and what is the other part of that, right? But the first step that I think that we need to know is infrastructure as code, and you move step by step inside how to you define the best way for your DevOps compliance in your company. That move fast with the Combos the Combos law. We need to move how to I can move from code for the Combos law, and how to merge these in one case that works for me and works for my company, right? And the most important is what expected my organization, and what is the time that could be I can use for my time for use and generate these IAC components. Why IAC is so important? Normally, when you try to sell something in your company, you need to move faster for the money, and how to the money could be. It's more easy for the time, because the first month, the first year is not easy to check what is the ROI for the company, and how to what is the return of inversion for this inversion that is your time, and move your current configurations in cloud and put it all in code, and put in code how to you can move in Git. That it's very hard, and you need to move very fast for the money, and how to you can move more fast in that, right? That is the definition. That is the managers could be, oh man, could be solving this, but we can take this solution in 1 year or 2 years, but it's more easy for this person, and how to move more fast, and how to deliver the more fast huge environments. A lot of companies now have an infrastructure as code, but other companies not yet. Then we need to know what is important, and how to I can use infrastructure as code for me, and how to can put it all together for works for my company. Okay, move quickly for demo time. That it's very easy demo time. That is a very easy demo. In this part we have, I don't know if check if my code seems very well, could be Zoom for that. I hope my code seems well in your compute.
We can see it.
Yeah, okay, perfect. In one hand, we have I start with Pulumi. In Pulumi, we have some definition about what is the definition of my code. In what part Pulumi define in this configuration file, what is the implementation that we can use for our project. In this case, we use AWS that use Python, and we have in Python a virtual environment that is one part of Python. A little description in this case is in Spanish, but we can change. Example with IIC over AWS. Save. In the other hand, we have this file. In this file, we define what is the configuration about my code and how to can define some behaviors in my code. In this, we have AWS, what is the region that is my code could be in the region that I may code deploy. That is the values. What is the name of project? Pulumi. VPC address. What is my current virtual private cloud? We have defined 6 subnets, 3 publics and 3 privates. We have deploy our infrastructure in 3 subnet zone that we have 3 availability zone inside of AWS, and we have deploy inside of AWS with high scalability and availability from our infrastructure. On the other hand, we have tags additionally that you can define for all resources that you can deploy inside of the current cloud, and how you can tax these resources, because you can generate the invoice for could be the areas, and generate this more granular mode for the areas and what is the part of my infrastructure and what can I filter for that. In the other part, we have in main.py the definition and what is the components with my configuration file, and how you can take this configuration file and how to deploy for the current AWS account. In this part, we import a lot of resources that I can use inside of Pulumi, that use a config that is for obtain this file, the Pulumi dev YAML that is the configuration. On the other hand, we define the AWS library for obtain and manage a lot of resources inside of AWS. On the other hand, we import JSON because we need to couple some JSON inside of that. And in this line, we obtain the configuration file and obtain from this file the values parameter inside of that. This part of this, on this part, values. And these values return a lot of these configurations for my code. Then I can obtain the project name, values.getProyecto, that is that, and returns me Pulumi. Right, and the other start with the VPC, start to deploy one VPC inside of AWS. After that, we deploy private zones. After that, the public zones. And for some cases, we need to define what is the route tables for these zones, how to work. For the public zone, we need to define the internet gateway and define this internet gateway for route table for the public zones, right? And in this, we associate the route table with the internet gateway with my public route table. On the other hand, we define inside of AWS a session manager that is a very important security accomplished about the how you can access for your current instances. And you define a role in this part. You define, no, this is a policy, this is a role, and you need to put inside the role attachment for this policy, and you need to define the instance profile for using before that. Before that, you need to put move fast a security group that is allow the communication inside of the VPC and the subnets inside of the my current VPC, and you need to define the ingress rules, and the egress rules. For ingress rules is a lot of traffic. The site are blocked from VPC address, that is internal communication, and egress rules, we have egress for internet, that is that access for my instance for the outside of AWS. On the other hand, we define a EC2 instance inside of the current region, that is the AMI that we can put, and we can find the name from this Amazon Linux DOS image that we can obtain from this query that obtain one AMI ID, and this part of the code put generate the instance inside of AWS. For start, we have this little README that solve part of this configuration. You need to put the configuration credential from AWS account that I put together before the talk. And we need to make this command in here for generate the communication for your code and your pass the empty directory. Okay, oh no, this part is just for create the first part of the start the Pulumi project, but we don't send it because remove all these files at the moment. And in this part, the first link that we have, that we send the start of Pulumi. Okay, let me in this. Pulumi sends the current execution for the cloud by default. In this case, we have this configuration, and this configuration returns what is the current status and what is the deploy that I can generate inside of AWS. Then we move faster for that, and this code generate 20 resources. I can make yes, and in this case, in the first part, just plan what try to do Pulumi for AWS, and this part is creating the resources inside of AWS account. If more fast for the AWS account, we can check the current object that is creating for this code. Okay, AWS console. In this part, inside for the VPC. Yeah, actually, the resources was created. In this part of the VPCs, we have two VPCs. Okay, one VPC. What is the CRD? What we use? We use and define the first VPC for that was 10.0.0.0.16. 10.0.0.0.16. That sits my VPC. No, that's this. And it have in this moment a lot of subnets for that manage depends of the VPC. In this case, we define 6 subnets from this case. We move EC for EC2 instance. That is the objective for that. We can go to the instance, and we have a new instance inside of that that is running. That is a T2 micro instance type. And we can, with session manager, use that. Secondary click and security, no, and connect in this. Connect with session manager in this case, and connect. We don't need could be a SSH key or something like that for connect our instance. Just click secondary and connect for my instance. And this is the part and the fast way that you can deploy all your infrastructure for your components, for your environments, and you can put it all together more easy inside of your repository. That is the links for the repository. That is part of the demo. That is the demo time, and that's it. Thank you for your time. I hope complete the time. I expected not a long time for this session. Sorry for these 5 minutes that I take more for the current context.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing. So anyone with a question?
I have a question. Well, how large should your infrastructure be to pay off for this solution?
For pay my solution, what?
I mean Pulumi specific, because I have read about Pulumi, but it's kind of hard to think about the reasons and the features how I could sell that for other team members and management especially.
Okay. Normally, when you have a Pulumi, when you have an infrastructure as code framework, you need to move fast for Git, because you need to manage your code and your team too. And you need, first of all, I think your team learn about what is the best practice and what is the best framework that they can use, because it's not easy, especially from Pulumi, because you need to know one language, program languages. In this case, we work with Python. You need to define what is the best definition for your team. I think when you learn with your team and define what is the best technology, you generate more relationship with us, because you put inside of them the decision, and you put in their shoulders this decision. Not this the unique way. You have a Terraform that is very easy for learning, because it is based on HSL, human readable languages, and it's more easy, I think, for learning in the first time. But if you have more capabilities inside of IIC, you could be put in your responsibilities with Pulumi, with Python or Go or Node, I don't know. But you need, in all cases, need to move your team for Git.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Unfortunately, we do not have time for more questions, so we finish at 8 p.m. as promised. Thank you, Jhonnatan. This was very interesting. I want to ask about the Terraform and differences and pros and cons, but maybe the other time. So, Liana, are you ready to take over?
Okay.
And Jhonnatan, please stay with us if you can.
Yeah.
Hi. Yes, I am ready to take over. So moving on to the second part, I will share my screen. Can you see that?
Yep, it's not presentation mode, but we can see it.
Yeah, well, okay. Is that better?
Yeah. Better.
Okay, so we're starting the second part of our event, so which is the discussion part, and I will go quickly over what's going to happen. So the process is that everyone who wants to participate can submit an idea